Hello, this is Marie Page, and this is the talk I'm going to be giving at Brighton SEO in April 2018. It's called Harnessing the Power of Facebook Groups. Just to give you a little bit of background first, I'm the co-founder of the Digitarati and the Digitarati Academy. We provide digital and social media marketing consultancy and training. I'm the resident Facebook aficionado, and I'm going to talk about Facebook groups in this talk. I'll be using examples mainly from 3 commercial businesses I'm involved with that have highly effective Facebook groups. 2 are B2C and 1 is B2B. I truly believe that Facebook groups can work in the commercial world and not just for community groups or for those with special interests. But let's start with looking at why Facebook itself is so keen on groups and why pages are simply not working anymore. Over a year ago, the media started reporting on a phenomenon called context collapse. Facebook was apparently terrified because despite spending increasing amounts of time on the platform, people were sharing less and less intimate information about themselves. We've since seen a slew of new features such as On This Day that encourage people to share updates. But the behavioural change was already firmly set in, and since then Facebook have made further changes. At the heart of this was a change of mission statement aiming to give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together. Then in January this year, a major announcement was made which was heralded as the Facebook apocalypse or Facebook Zero. It appeared on the surface that pages could be facing an era of zero organic reach. Facebook had decided it was sick of passive consumption of content and will in future be focusing on pushing out content that drives meaningful interactions with a focus on content from friends and family rather than content from businesses. Certainly organic reach is falling. Average reach at the moment is around about 7%, but some pages have seen it much lower than that, particularly those that have been using click and engagement bait tactics, which the new updates to the algorithm have really punished. The oatmeal has neatly summarised what's happened over the years. We used to spend all of our time driving traffic to our websites. Then Facebook appeared and people preferred to engage with our content there, and reach was pretty good. Then the brakes got put on organic reach, and pages needed to start shelling out quite considerable sums for exposure. But Facebook groups are different. Pages are a complete nightmare in many ways nowadays, especially for organisations that don't have a lot of budget to spend boosting posts. So groups being different and at least for now are working way better. They have more of a community feel. Because groups are generally not public, people feel safer to talk and engage. That means we're not having so much of those things that were happening in terms of context collapse. People know that they're in a community of like-minded. And Facebook itself is really focused on groups. If you're going to be putting Facebook at the heart of your marketing, it is wise to go where Facebook leads. Here's a very recent tweet from Matt Navarra. He's tweeting from South by Southwest about Alex Hardiman's interview. Alex is the head of news products for Facebook. So he's basically saying that Facebook news partnership teams are pushing it really hard with publishers. This is pushing groups hard. But I hear you say, can groups work for commercial brands? I would say that yes, they can. It, however, requires a longer-term view and something of a paradigm shift. Groups enable a multi-person conversation that you as the brand, the organisation, are much less in control of as you would be on a page or your website. Groups won't work as interruptive marketing, if you know that phrase from Seth Godin. The best groups are where members feel a sense of ownership, and any brand behind the group spends most of the time playing a facilitation role rather than driving all the content themselves. Now, in a world where millions are spent on sponsorship, I simply don't understand why Facebook groups have not enjoyed more take-up by commercial brands. Sure, you're not as in control of them as you are with pages, but they are effectively like a form of sponsorship. And I'm going to give you some examples as we go. So why are groups better than pages? Well, they have great reach. It's so much better. In any given month, and these are up-to-date statistics right now, I'm seeing a reach of 65 to 70% over a month of members of my group. I'm using here the active members metric, by the way. And top performing posts are getting between 30 and 50% reach. Now, you are never going to achieve that in a Facebook page unless something's super viral or unless you're paying to boost it. Why else are groups better than pages? Engagement is brilliant. It's just through the roof in comparison to the equivalent page. And of course, the newsfeed algorithm loves that active engagement, which further pushes reach. And then the engagement tends to be peer-to-peer, which these most recent changes have suggested that Facebook much prefers. So rather than being driven by group admins, the engagement is well within your community. It's a meaningful conversation. So that will push it into the newsfeed even more. You'll find that members of the group will go out of their way to create user-generated content. That gives your admins time to spend on the beach. Here's some fantastic user-generated content in Motability's Facebook group. In the first picture, the content is really beautifully promoting Motability's One Big Day. That's their most important commercial event of the year. And in the other, we have Satnav the dog. We all know how cute dogs and cats can drive reach and engagement. And here are users of the group doing that for Motability. More user-generated content here in the Team Digitarati Facebook group. You may well know Dawn Anderson. She's an old hand at Brighton SEO. Here she is curating some content for us from Search Engine Journal. So far, so good. What's not to love about groups? Well, they still appear to be pretty hard to sell in at board level. So what other arguments can you put forward? Customer service, where customers do half the work for you. So groups can provide a customer service option that takes the load off your own internal teams. You're probably aware that Dell did this years ago with their Dell community. Independent experts and tech enthusiasts solve Dell technical issues in a forum that Dell hosts but does not provide staff support to, all saving Dell loads of money. The customers are happy because they get timely support, and the enthusiasts get the badge of Dell Rockstar. Groups are a great way of getting peer-to-peer advice and support. So groups are a place where users tend to ask lots of very interesting and useful questions. As a content marketer, this is my happy place. In this example, Par is asking the Digitarati group for some advice on SEO for YouTube. Facebook groups are also a quick way of getting messages out. After all, if Kennedy was shot today, it's likely that the first place we'd hear about it would be on Facebook. And for pages, the problem of reach is simply that it's not going to deliver such guaranteed exposure as a post on a group would. So here's an example from Motability busting some fake news about car insurance and red weather warnings. If you know the business model canvas, you'll be familiar with the concept of customer pain points. And again, as a content marketer hosting a community where these pain points are raised, and with our solutions only a click away, makes lots of marketing sense. Here are 3 examples of users expressing their pain. People will post questions looking for advice, and these will be answered very often, very comprehensively by the community. If not, you can answer those problems yourself and, if appropriate, position your own products and services as a possible solution. These kinds of posts as well also provide the business with content ideas for work on your blog, for your ads, and even new products. Simply by actively hosting a group, you're being helped to position yourself, your team, as an expert. And as time goes on, you demonstrate that with your own content and your responses to questions. Here are some examples of those. And normally I find that the community can and will answer even the trickiest of questions. If they don't, I find that it's pretty rare that one of our team internally can't Google a response, even if we don't know the response immediately ourselves. This Jumping the Shark post was a big opinion post that we'd written. The group was a great place to seed that article for further sharing. A group provides you the opportunity to showcase your expertise, to show that you're a leader in your field with your finger firmly on the pulse of what's new and worth investigating. Now, I don't advocate lots of overt selling in groups. Obviously, buy and sell groups are a little different. But occasionally you do earn that right to push some of your own stuff out there. Here on the left is one of our members asking for advice on Facebook ads to do with a crowdfunder project. I gave a detailed response offering free advice. I included some links to guides I'd written on the topic, and to the Facebook ads course we have in the Digitality Academy. Of course, if I wanted to as well, I could follow that up with a PM and offer some further possibly paid for support and advice. And on the right is a different type of promotional post. It's where we're promoting our own services. In this case, it's the launch of a course on content marketing. And because those things are such a small percentage of the overall number of posts that I'll put out and others will put out into the group, it's perfectly acceptable for us as the sponsor or as the facilitator of the group to be doing that. Groups help you tell stories and show the people behind the brand. People buy from people, not websites. And you don't need me to tell you as marketers that storytelling is so important in helping drive loyalty. The result of a group is connection between you and your customers and between the tribe that inevitably grows out of your group. Groups are also a great place for on-the-ground market research. As well as giving insight to your customers, you'll get ideas and inspiration for new content across all social channels. And you can use it to improve your own products and processes. Here's someone in the Motability community actually criticising their online car search, saying it's quite frustrating, and then lots of other comments about it. Now, some organisations would see this negatively. I think you need to look at the positives and think that, well, you're seeing here something that you can now go to work on improving, and you may well find that you get some new product development ideas as well. Groups are simply brilliant places for your community to advocate for you. Obviously, if you're doing a good job already, if you're doing an atrocious job, you may well find that it backfires. We find in the Digitality Facebook group that if someone kicks off, which is rare, we really don't need to do an awful lot ourselves because the community tends to rally round and put the record straight. In these examples on the left, you'll find some unprompted testimonials about Digitality Academy courses. And on the right, an example from the Veganuary group. And it's just someone talking about how supportive and helpful she found the group in comparison to other pages. And here's Motability with, again, some unprompted testimonials. Now, we were working with Motability for something like 2 years before we finally persuaded them to take the plunge and form a group. As an organisation, they're very risk averse and were concerned about any potential bad publicity. But conversely, and partly because they are such a superb and caring organisation that delivers what they promise, the group has been awash with praise. The group is likely to be Facebook's biggest group in the world for people with disabilities. And it's all sponsored, if you like, by a key commercial player in that space, with a focus on their content pillars, which are cars, mobility, and freedom of movement, amongst other things. A little tip here, because it can be quite tricky to get exposure for your group. Facebook will suggest groups to people, but what about advertising? Now, clicks to website ads, which we'd often be using on Facebook ads, will work for public groups, but not for closed or secret groups, which is probably what the majority of us will be looking at. So there are 3 workarounds. The first is to use a URL shortener to bypass the facebook.com domain restriction in the Ads Create tool. Second, use a link ad and send to a web page that has a forwarder in place from that page to your Facebook group. And finally, you could create a post on your page with a link to the group, and then you boost that post. So 3 different ways that you can promote your group in a Facebook ad. Now, tempting as it is to have a vanity metric of tens of thousands of members, large groups are massively time-consuming to manage and a magnet for spammers. So I would suggest that you set your membership criteria and stick with it. The tighter your criteria, the less hassle you'll have with spammy posts that annoy your members and cause your admins headaches. Some groups are offered only as part of a VIP membership package. John Loomer's Power Hitters Club is a good example, and you'll get access to John as well as all the training on his website. You don't get quite that much access to him on a page or on one of his other Facebook groups. A few content ideas here. Theme days work really well for when a group is quiet. I don't tend to follow them religiously. I tend personally to feel what's needed rather than sticking to a strict schedule. The Friday free-for-all thread works particularly well for people to do a little bit of self-promotion, but it keeps it all in one thread. So this is where we invite people to include links to their own projects and websites. Here are a couple of Motability theme days. They've also gone for the free-for-all, but they've created other theme days in line with the pillars of their content strategy. Moving on now to look at admin tools. In addition to the Admin Tools Hub, admins can mute and ban members, message members, schedule posts, view the activity of other admins and moderators, and also see if any of the posts have been reported to admins or to Facebook themselves. Recognising the time that running a group can take, Facebook's pulling together the 6 or 7 most important things admins do in keeping membership and conversation healthy, and they've put this into a single hub, which is currently only available on mobile. This should help you streamline workflow and release admins to spend more time attending to people rather than doing admin. One of the most recent things that Facebook has rolled out is you can now link your page to a group and link groups to groups. You can also post as the page in a group. This is great for groups that need to protect the identity of admins, for instance, when dealing with vulnerable people. I suggest that you use the description area to explain what the group is all about and who is eligible to join. It's a good idea to put a link to your group rules here. We also have these hosted on our website. And if you're using the 3 optional questions for membership, refer to those questions here. You'll see as well that you can also recommend other groups. There are some tags for you to put in, and this is to guide Facebook in terms of who it shows the group to as a suggested group. And right at the bottom, you'll see locations. You can choose from specific locations or select global. Again, this is useful in guiding Facebook on suggestions. Insights has recently been rolled out, and there's plenty to explore there. Active members gives a good idea of reach numbers. And some of the data there, for instance, top contributors can be turned into fun posts or competitions of sorts. Coming soon to Facebook groups. Facebook's trialled a number of features that are coming soon. These include personalisation of your group, that's personalising colours and theme, rules being a lot more prominent, and enabling more than one pinned post at the top, which is super useful for admins. We've also seen some trials of boosted posts, and it does indeed look as if advertising is coming to groups as well. Finally, a trick and a tip for running your group. You get to ask up to 3 questions when people apply to join the group, and I'd suggest that you offer a freebie in return for the customer email address. Classic funnel marketing there. Facebook is increasingly throwing people into Facebook jail for their online misdemeanours. So don't auto-add people to the group without permission. Don't PM people you don't know asking them to join the group. Don't post too often, especially if the content is spammy or salesy. It doesn't take many complaints to trigger jail time for you. So that's it from me. I hope you've been inspired in relation to Facebook groups. Membership of our own Digitarati group is usually exclusively for Digitarati Academy subscribers. But if you answer Brighton SEO in any of the questions, we'll let you join. You can see the URL there. We've got a bunch of Facebook-related digital freebies for you. If you go to freedigistuff.com, you can get hold of the ultimate guide to Facebook marketing, our checklist for setting up Facebook groups, and also our cover photo size guide that covers pages, groups, events, and profiles. There's a Photoshop template there as well. So head on over to that little website and you'll be able to pick those up. I've also done a second video of the bits of this talk that kind of didn't make the cut for Brighton SEO, and you can find them over on the Digitarati's blog, also on our Facebook page, also on our YouTube channel. So do grab hold of that. I would imagine that wherever you're watching this from, there'll be a link to that second video as well. Okay, thank you very much for joining me.